Hi guys, I'm Lynn and I just wanted to do a very quick video, just a little positive video, because for 5 years I was searching for a positive video regarding pregnancy after loss, and in particular I suppose within my age group, because there was a lot of younger women putting their stories up online, but I am a little bit older. I recently, well, not recently, but in October I turned 40, and I was pregnant at 39 with this little fella. He is 6 weeks today, and I don't know, we've been through the ringer. We were through the ringer during this pregnancy. It wasn't the easiest pregnancy. It was up and down, but it was also a very long 5 years process to get to here. And for many years I have been filming my journey, and I kept meaning to put it online, but I was just so afraid because it was so negative at times. I just didn't think it was very positive, and I was really concerned that it wasn't going to work out for us. And it did look like as though we were probably going to have to make peace with the fact that we weren't going to have our family the way that we thought we would have our family, or that perhaps maybe we would just be a couple that just didn't have kids. And we were starting to kind of accept that as a fact up until last year. And my story is a little bit of a miracle, and I just thought it would be really nice to hear something a little bit more positive, especially if you are going through the ringer. You've been at it for years. Doctors are telling you, it doesn't look like it's going to happen for whatever reason, and you're at a bit of a loss. That if you heard a real life story and a real life miracle story, that it might give you a little bit of hope. That being said, I do know that life can be particularly cruel and mean at times, and it doesn't always work out. And that's partly why I wanted to do this video, because I see I'm guilty of it all the time. I watch YouTube religiously. I love it. And I watch a lot of younger people talk about their lives and their influencers, and they're off doing this and they look amazing, and when they're pregnant they look amazing, and there's never a hiccup, and they just share the pregnancy from the very beginning, and there's no issue. I have not been that. That has not been our story. That has not been, what I thought life was going to be. I thought by the time I turned 40, my life would be together. I thought I would have my house. I would probably own a few houses. I don't have a mortgage. We are actually renting this place at the moment. It is through a friend. We've tried many times to buy a house and it just hasn't happened. I have tried to save. Every time I've saved, every ounce, every single penny has gone into trying to have a baby, and it just didn't work out. And there was a time when I had got money saved up. I was saving for a house prior to even meeting my partner now, Kevin, who is a year older than myself. I was saving, and I was trying to do it myself before there was all the hoopla that's happening at the moment. But I had that saved. I had a plan, and the plan just didn't work out. And as much as people put stuff online saying like positive thinking and like manifesting and all of that, like I was all on for that, and it just does not work out that way all the time. And so it can get really disheartening when you look online and you see people doing things and it just doesn't work out that way. The same way, I was incredibly naive that when I met Kevin, how old was I? I think I was 33 when I met Kev, and he had been living in Australia for, I think it was 7 or 8 years, possibly even longer at that stage. I think it might even be closer to 9. He was living in Australia and he was thinking about coming home. He felt he missed out on family, and his nieces and nephews were growing up, and he wanted his big family, and he wanted to see them grow up, and he was not homesick, but he was thinking he might like to come home and I suppose live here and enjoy life. So he came home on a break during the summer, and we met when he came home, and I was 33, he was 34, and you know, our romance kind of started, and then he came home for a few months and he extended the time when he met me, and then he came back. I was supposed to go over to him I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but just to give you a little background, we went off, he came back to me at Christmas, and then he then for Valentine's sent me a ticket to go over to see him in Australia, and that's how we started to court. But we were kind of late in life meeting, I suppose, like 33, 34, wasn't like in our 20s, and we weren't teenagers, but in the same aspect, like we still wanted to live our life and travel and also get to know one another, because what are you supposed to do, just jump right into it? And that just was not where either of our heads were. You know, we just thought, like, you know, we had plenty of time, and even at 33 we still kind of felt young, and that there was no need to kind of rush our relationship. Plus, we didn't want to put any pressure on our relationship either, and we were just having fun and enjoying life. And we did some traveling, and then a friend of mine actually said to me, she had gotten married and they were trying for a baby, and it wasn't really working out the way that she had thought that it would. And she had said, look, listen, stuff had come up, I think it was on his side, and she still had to do IVF, and she said it was costing her a bomb and it was quite difficult. And she said, look, it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to go check your fertility and just see where you're at. And that was the beginning of our journey, because I didn't know anything about that, and I just thought, look, like, I felt great. At the time, I looked good, I was feeling good, I was exercising, I ate healthy, I loved life, I loved my job, I loved everything, I was enjoying life. It wasn't even on the radar, right? But because she said this to me, and I thought, well, maybe I should. And then there was a couple of other people friends of mine, who weren't finding it that easy either all of a sudden. And I thought, I really should go get checked, and I didn't know where to do it. I since know you can go to the Well Woman Clinic and you can get it done. And at the time, I think you know, I don't know if it's still this price, but it was around 200 for a couple, or 210 or something for a couple, and you can do it together, and it's not even a big deal. I think it's like a smear test for, I think is there a smear test for a woman? I think there's a swab for a woman, and then there's also bloods that are taken, and maybe it's not even a swab. I think it's just bloods. You do blood work, and you also do what else? For men, they just give a sperm sample, and that's it. It's nothing. And you can come back and then see for men, how their sperm quality is, and for women, and what their ovarian reserve is, and how many eggs they have, and if everything is looking dandy. So I know you can do it there, so you don't even have to go to a fertility clinic. But at the time, I didn't know that, and I went to a fertility clinic, the same fertility clinic my friend had gone to. So that was the beginning of our journey. So when I came back, I convinced Kev. He reluctantly went. He did not want to go. I remember him digging his heels in and saying, why are we doing this for? Like, there's no point. We don't have a problem. And I just kept saying, look, listen, a couple of my friends haven't been finding it that easy, and I know we're not there yet, but you know, we have been together, I think I don't even know, we were probably 2 years at this stage. And I thought, look, or a year and a half even, right? I was like, come on, we'll just go, we'll just make sure everything is going according to plan. And by that stage, we kind of knew that we were getting on really well, and that this was kind of it for us, that it was going to be the two of us. Although we didn't think that we would get married or engaged anytime soon. We were still thinking, like, there was a lot other things that were more important that were on the radar anyway, right? So anyway, we went along. He dug his heels in. He did his sperm sample, I did my blood test, and I can't remember now if there was if there was something else, like as in a swab or something. I can't remember, but for women it's a little bit more. For men it's nothing, right? We went, we did it, and then our results came back, and everything was hokey dokey with Kevin, and they had just said to me that my ovarian reserve was lower than what it should be for my age. And that really, the consultant that we had seen, she said to me, 2 years is your safe window, Lynn. And then after that, she says, I can't guarantee that there would, that things would go according to plan. Well, that was the beginning of a heart attack city for me, because I was like, oh my God, 2 years? 2 years. We're like, I don't know. I was thinking, I don't know if I want to have a baby in 2 years. I didn't really feel 100% ready. Even though I wasn't a teeny bopper, I was thinking my life isn't in order. We don't have a house. We aren't living together. We're still, like, I rented in Harold's Cross, and he had come back from Australia, obviously, and we had spent some time over there, and then we come back together, and he had a business over in Australia, and he wanted to set the business up here, and there was like, the life was not set up in Ireland for small businesses to start back up. It's just really difficult, and he was like, I can't afford to rent and start up the business as well. I can't move in, and everything was on just a massive hold. And then they were throwing this into a mix where, like, I was on the clock, right? So panic station sets in. Anyway, we did that, and we got on with life, and we kind of had a conversation where we would eventually have a child, and that we will just, within the 2 years we'll get going. And so we did eventually. I can't remember how much time in between that there was, but we decided we would have a child. And I remember, and I wanted to show you this. Sorry, he's feeding at the moment. He's a little sweetie. But I was so naive to, look, listen, okay, she said 2 years is my window, not a problem, we'll have a baby within 2 years. And I remember going out to TK Maxx, not shortly after, but a few weeks after this, and I said, look, just to put it out, positive energy out there into the universe, I will buy something for the baby, and I will say, this is what I had in my mind, that I had decided that we were going to have you, and this was the little outfit that I got you to say that you were going to be here. Well, I still have this outfit. Here it is. I got it in TK Maxx. This was it, and it said, welcome to the world on it, and that's why I picked it up. And it has 2 little suits together. I paid $16.99 for it, and I just put it into the wardrobe, right? That sat in the wardrobe for 5 years. 5 years this outfit has been sitting in the wardrobe. And there were times when friends had gone on and had babies that I contemplated, would I just give this and just get rid of it? But I held on to it and held on to it in the hopes that at some point it would work out for us. But it was incredibly difficult, and I don't know if there's anybody that will watch this video that will be interested. And I think now I feel safe enough to kind of share that journey. So if you're interested, I will go through it all and talk about all the different procedures that I had and all the pregnancies I had. This is my 4th pregnancy. I've had 2 natural pregnancies, but that obviously ended up in pregnancy loss. And I also had an IVF baby that ended up, it didn't work out for us either. So if you're interested in the journey, I am happy to share it now. I feel like I can, and I have some videos because I did document some of that. So I'm gonna have to go back through that and try and remember all the different things. But I had a ton of procedures. It cost us an absolute bomb. And in the end, after 5 years of trying and all the things that had happened, and I had seen a consultant, and they had kind of said, it didn't really look like it was going to happen for us. I was 39 at the time, and they kind of said, look, they suggested that I was probably perimenopausal, or that, like, you know, that maybe this wasn't going to happen, that I wasn't ovulating anymore, and that really my other options were egg donation. And my heart absolutely sank this time last year. I couldn't believe it. After everything that we've been through, all the money, all the years, all the time, all the effort, all the hiding and pretending when you're working and doing projects, then you're trying to keep the rest of your life together, and inside everything else is fallen asunder, or you've just experienced a pregnancy loss and you can't say anything to an employer because you weren't there long enough, or you were working for a project. It was an absolute nightmare. And then I got delivered that news, and I was thinking, how can this be? You know, I remember I was in the recurrent miscarriage unit in the rotunda when they delivered this news to me. And I just thought, oh God, they were like, there's nothing really that we can do. You have to go see a specialist. I had already seen specialists. That was kind of my last pit stop. I was like hoping that things would happen more naturally for us, and it just didn't happen. And then lo and behold, I had just given up hope, and I thought, okay, fine, look, this isn't probably going to happen. And I rang back the fertility clinic, and I just said, look, this was the news that I was told by another consultant, and this consultant said, not necessarily, we need to do a test to see where you're at. You're still young, and you're still like 39, and you know, okay, yes, it's not as simple when you're a bit older, but you know, it's not the end. And so we'll do a test on you. And my gut instinct, I was a video consultation, obviously because of the pandemic, and she had said, look, listen, we'll do the test, but my feeling is that we're going to put you on a drug for maybe like 9 to 6 months, maybe ish. And then if you can afford it, do another dual egg retrieval, and then whatever happens there is what happens then. And she said, look, listen, at the end of the day, she says, as your doctor, I have to give you all your options. It's not the end of the world. You can have a baby. There is a baby there for you. Just, I'm going to give you another option, and the other option is egg donation. And I was like, I was afraid you were going to say that to me, because I wasn't quite prepared for it. And she says, look, it's not to say that you have to do it, but that it's there for you. And I thought, okay, look, listen, I remember thinking to myself afterwards, you know, being heartbroken, sad that life was not going to work out the way that I thought it was. And I remember thinking, what is more important to me? And I just thought, look, listen, I'm too old to do adoption now. I don't know. And I found out that, like, it's also costly. I didn't know how long a waiting list it was. I was thinking, by the time that comes around, they're going to say no to myself and Kev. So that was gone. And as for doing it naturally, it didn't look 100% positive there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to have to just let go of whatever way this was supposed to happen. And I said, okay, look, the most important thing to me is that we do have a family, and whatever way that family arrives, I'm okay with. Now, it wasn't, and I obviously did have help getting my mind in order, and that's another thing I would say to you. If you are at home in Ireland, and I actually think even if you're abroad, you could probably avail of this service. And it's a service that was told to me by a friend of mine who she ended up using, and it's called Nourish. And if I can, I'll link it in the description below, and you can have a look. But it's a website for people who have suffered baby loss, pregnancy loss, fertility issues, and bereavement of kind, right? So and it's a membership site where you pay €50 and then you get an access to all the directory of all these counselors and psychologists that specialize within this area to help you. And I found one, and I found a fantastic therapist who helped me through the process of these ups and downs, because at this stage, like, I can't even begin to tell you everything that happened. It was just very overwhelming, and I just felt I needed I needed someone to help me because I wasn't doing brilliantly. Like, I just was not doing brilliant. So it was like at the beginning of last year, I had held out from a therapist for 5 years, and this was kind of this is the last straw. I was going through it and I felt I was not myself, and I hadn't been myself for a very long time. And all the sadness that you experience, and then also trying to keep the rest of your life in order, and sometimes you're pumped with a ton of drugs, and you really are not yourself. So I ended up seeing her, and I was, like I said, I'll link to that below. So anyway, I have gone off in a tangent, I'm sorry. So the place is called Nourish, and you can avail of that service for yourself, and it's not even as costly as most of the therapists are, because I think it's like €50 for membership, and then you can spend another €55 a session after you pick your doctor. And that was the video consultation, so we would WhatsApp, and I didn't even have to leave the house, and all we would do is WhatsApp one another and do a video consultation. So you don't even have to go to their house, you don't even have to go to an office. It can be one-to-one that way, and it was more comfortable. So if you are going through it and you think that you need someone to help you, even if you've gotten some news or you're feeling a little bit down, I would definitely 100% advise reaching out to them and availing of that service, because it's too hard to do it on your own. And after a while, I just felt, it was definitely seeping into mine and Kev's relationship, and it was affecting work and wanting to, work and move forward and all of that. And I just thought, oh God, this is not me. And of course, the fertility drugs that you get given as well, like, they have an effect on your body. Your body changes. I am much bigger than I was when I first started, and also I think it changes. I felt like it was changing my personality. I felt like a different person. At times I was really aggressive, like in my manner, and at times I was weak and crying. And also I just felt the stuff that I used to enjoy doing, I didn't enjoy doing anymore. So I felt like a different person, a completely different person. So anyway, I had that service, and I was chatting all the way through this. So prior to even going to the Rotunda miscarriage unit, I had a therapist to help me weekly through what was going on. And anyway, so they had kind of said, look, go back to the fertility centre. I went back to the fertility centre. I told you what she had said to me, and we were waiting on my period to start in order to start this medication. And I had scheduled my my test. So anyway, still waiting, nothing was happening. And I thought, oh God, typical. It's because now we're waiting on it that it's not coming. It's stress. Stress is doing this to me. Yes, that's right, isn't it? And I was like, oh, this is just absolutely typical. So anyway, the next day I got up, I checked, still nothing. God, how am I I'm gonna have to ring them and tell them now that, like, I'm waiting on this and it's not happening. So anyway, I was starting to feel kind of a little bit sick and under the weather, and the thought kind of came into my head. I was like, I wonder if I'm pregnant. I was like, Lynn, don't be so ridiculous. You were told that you're probably not ovulating anymore. That you're not ovulating anymore, and that, like, it's not going to happen this way, and that they even suggested that you're probably going to have to do like egg donation. So there's no way that you were pregnant yourself, right? So just get that out of your head. So then I felt stupid for even having the thought. Anyway, another day passes by and still nothing. And I thought, oh my God, I'm perimenopausal. I am going through the menopause, and that's why I don't have a period anymore. And I had another freak attack, and then I left it, and another day passed, and I thought, okay, that's it. I had looked in the drawer, and I had these tiny little strips, you know, the strips that you can get in Boots, and they're just like, they're cheap, because as anybody who has gone through you know, pregnancy loss, fertility treatments, trying to conceive, whatever, you know, you've taken about 1 million pregnancy tests, and you have probably put the makers of those fertility tests through college, not only through college, but their kids, their grandkids, and their great grandkids through college, from the amount of pregnancy tests that you had to take. So I had a few left over, and I took it, and I obviously tested, and it nothing. And then I just felt stupid. I was like, of course you're not pregnant, right? You've been told that this isn't going to happen naturally for you, that you're going to need help, and why are you testing? You're only hurting yourself. So I threw it in the bin. Anyway, got up the next day, still nothing. I thought, oh no, I'm gonna have to go and ring them and tell them and see, is there a test to see if I'm perimenopausal. Anyway, I went up to the loo after having this conversation with myself and like the sadness, and I don't know what it was. I just looked at the bin and I thought, I'll just take that test out and I'll just look at it to see the strip. And I did, and there was this tiny, weeny, faint line on it. And I thought, no, I can't be. I can't. And I kind of sat there in disbelief for a minute and thought, look, I read the back of these little tiny strips, and they had said that, or the box rather, and it said that you can't trust it after 15 minutes. I thought, well, then that's what it is. It's just that the test is faulty. But it gave me enough to kind of decide, listen, I'm going to run down to Boots, I'm going to get my digital test, and I'll know either way with the digital test. But I was not going to tell anybody that I had done this. I'm definitely not going to tell Kevin, because he would think I was a lunatic after being told this. So I ran down, I got it, came back, and it came out pregnant. I couldn't believe it. I could not. I was like, I thought it was a joke. Not that it was a joke, but I was thinking, oh, this is hormonal. I'm not really pregnant. It's because I might be perimenopausal that it's coming up this way, and I'm not really, and it's fooling me. I still didn't believe it, but I waited an entire day, and then I told Kev, and he was like, great. His reaction was just normal, like, oh, great. Like, I was like, no, Kevin, you don't understand. Like, we were told that we can't. He's like, Lynn, we got pregnant twice naturally prior to this, and then did our IVF. And I was like, no, but you don't understand. They told me that I'm not ovulating anymore, so I don't think you shouldn't get excited, because it doesn't look like as though it's definite. And he says, ring the clinic and see what they say. So I rang the fertility clinic and I said, look, I'm just after doing a test, and I know you are waiting on me to come in to start this medication and to do like a blood to check stuff, but this is after happening. And they said, look, listen, okay, grand, come on in and we'll do a blood test to check. Now, this is not the first time that this has happened to me. I have been in this situation before. It would have been the very first time I was due to start a smaller fertility treatment at the beginning, that I had fallen pregnant just before this had happened, but it had ended in a miscarriage. And so this was not an exciting time for me. I wasn't thinking, oh my God, it's worked out, yay, I'm pregnant. I had been here before and it hadn't worked out. So I was not excited. I was not going, success. Nothing. I just went in thinking, okay, either it's a fluke and I'm not really pregnant, or I'm going to have another stupid miscarriage before we can do anything and move forward positively again. So I wasn't exactly excited. So we went in, we did the test, and then they rang me back a few days later and they said, yeah, it's positive. And they do a thing where they check your HCG levels. Now, I had had this before, and my HCG levels on my last one were quite low, and they kept calling me in every 2 days to check to see that they were rising. And that was normal for me, but it started out really low. But this time it was high, and they said, okay, we'll see you in, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll do a scan. And I had never had them done that before. It was always like, come in 2 days later, because my HCG levels were low and they just wanted to see that they were rising. But they had felt that they were high enough. In fact, they were much higher than that they were average. I can't remember what they were. I have them written down. I'm sure I'll find it again. But they were much higher than what they were average. And so when I looked this up, it had said that you could be possibly pregnant with multiples, or that it could also be a sign of a what way do they put it, of maybe I can't remember how they put it, but they put it like as in a complicated pregnancy, i.e. an unwell pregnancy, or a pregnancy that may suggest Down syndrome, or that perhaps maybe it wasn't going to be a successful pregnancy, right? I can't remember the wording on that, so excuse me on that, but it wasn't exactly positive. And I had knew from one of my pregnancies, because I had had it tested, that I had had a chromosomal abnormality. That's what it was. So I knew that there was issues before, and so I thought, oh, this is what this is. Okay. And that was the beginning of my journey. And then when I went back in to have a scan, I had my scan, and not only was there a heartbeat, there was a strong heartbeat. And it was the first time ever that had happened. I couldn't believe it. We had a strong heartbeat, and we could see this tiny little bean, and that's all it looked like, was a bean with a little flicker of a heart, and you could hear it. I couldn't believe it. It was just amazing, and it was a relief, but it was also scary, because I thought, can we trust this? Here we go again. But it was the furthest we had ever managed to get, ever, that I was like, maybe there's a chance. So I also had to ring. So then they say, look, we're going to refer you from the fertility centre, because once we do this scan here and we get this positive, we normally refer you over to the hospital. So because I had a consultant in the miscarriage unit, I rang her back, or her team back, and I told them, and they said, okay, come on in, we want to do a test. And so when I went in, I did a test with them. They confirmed it a few other days later, and it was like double confirmed within the space of a couple of days through 2 different doctors, that I was like, oh my God, this actually is happening. Like this is actually happening. We are pregnant, and there is a baby in there, and there is a strong heartbeat. I can't begin to tell you the disbelief attached to that after everything that you've been. You just can't believe that this is actually real. So that was the beginning of our journey. It was really up and down, and I'm just very mindful that this video is probably going to be incredibly long. So if you're interested in my pregnancy for this little man and my birth story, I'm happy to share that again, and maybe I'll do that in a different video. And the same with my fertility journey and how we managed to get here. But yes, that was the beginning of us having our family at the tender age of 39. I was pregnant, and it was a successful pregnancy. Now, it was up and down. It wasn't clean sailing, and we didn't share our journey with a lot of people for months. In fact, I kept it secret for almost 6-7 months before people even saw me, because I was so terrified. So it's a hard road, and if you're sitting there listening to this thinking it's never going to happen for me, I just want you to know that it can happen, even when doctors are saying no. Remember, it is an opinion. It is just maybe an educated opinion, but it is just an opinion, and it's not set in stone, regardless to what they say. That anything can happen, and miracles happen, and he is a miracle after everything that we've been through. It is an absolute miracle to be sat here telling you about him. He is 6 weeks today, and I'm only getting used to being a mommy, but I am really enjoying it. And it's hard, it's tough, but I can tell you, because I've been through the mill for him, like even getting up doing night feeds and crying, I don't care. I absolutely don't care. And everybody's telling me I have him ruined because I keep picking him up, but I don't care. I just want to, just want to cuddle him. I just want to love him. And yeah, I'm kind of sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional about it now, but I just know what that feeling is like. I know how hard it is, and I know that you are probably heartbroken, as I was, and we were. But miracles happen. Babies, can show up at the strangest time, and life can spin on a dime. So have a bit of faith, and know that it can, that you can do it. And if it doesn't work out the way that you had planned, so be it. Life doesn't always work out the way that I planned. I thought by the age of 40 I would have my life together. As I said, I thought I'd have a family. I thought I'd be married. Like, we got engaged. We couldn't afford to get married. For ages we couldn't afford to get a ring. Like, there's loads of things. You just put those things to one side, and life works out. And it's not about the destination sometimes, but the journey. And just to give yourself a break, be a bit kinder to yourself, and to know that miracles do happen. And I am like absolute proof of that. So I hope that has brightened your day a bit, and I hope you get a bit of peace, and I wish you all the best, and know that I am definitely on your side. Even though we have not met, I am there, right there with you, wishing you the very best. And from our house to yours, we're sending you a ton of love and best wishes. All right, and hopefully we'll see you again in the next video.